This is Astor of Astagment. We are here to serve for all of you.
Hello, Asta. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello.
So there is this theory, or there's rumors I heard from some people saying that they are, I would call it the lost crystals of Atlantis. And I have heard that there is this theory that there was a group of crystals during the Atlantean civilization that still exists on the planet on certain locations. Is that true? Is there anything you can tell us about this?
The crystals of Atlantis, some of them are taken from Earth because the reason the fall of Atlantis happened because of the misuse of the crystal technology. Atlantis civilization used a lot of mindset in their civilization and a lot of technologies, which is extremely different from Lemurian civilization. Lemurians are heart-oriented and Atlanteans are mind-oriented. And that was a part of the reason why when they had a choice between choosing their heart versus choosing their mind, they chose their mind to advance their expansion. And due to that, they met their destiny, which wasn't favorable of. And they decided to advance their technologies, which is including crystal technologies. And many of the galactic nations where they gave their helping hand to creating humanities. It's not necessary those nations created Atlanteans. Many of them created Lemurians, 5D heart-oriented civilizations. And they've been observing what's going on. And they thought that was not a good idea to keep majority of the technology on Earth. So most of them are taken, means the most advanced technology, yes. But some of the crystal technologies are permitted to bury in Earth to help the humanity to proceed their civilization when the time comes, so they can catch up with their civilization in galactic level, or at least the beginning of the galactic level. So they can, one, communicate with us, two, they can assist themselves to catch up with galactic traveling, for example.
Yeah. So how many approximately are these crystals that remain now under the
25% of them.
25% of the total amount of crystals that existed during Atlantis, you mean?
Yes, and those 25% are not the most advanced. It was a lower level and the middle level of the technology, which is not influencing huge level of catastrophe. Let's put it that way. Because there is a way to use crystal technology in vicious manner. This is why the crystal technologies are not given to 4D civilizations in any kind of galactic levels. Crystal technology are given to use 5D and up. So people do understand we are serving for others. And we are connecting to all. So people do not use crystal technology for self-serving or the use to dominate other nations, for example, or destroy other nations.
So these crystals are big or small?
Usually, the size of crystal matters because they need to be big enough to gather a certain amount of, we can use the closest word as light code. So crystals are sort of similar to a microchip of computer. They do have different code of the energies buried within. You can see those in Lemurian crystals. Each time when you see the certain line in the Lemurian crystals, their codes are written in it, which you cannot see because it's an energetic code. You can see with the lines, but it doesn't make any sense to all of you. So when the crystal is big, they can, of course, download a lot of light code from each civilizations. We are talking about galactic civilizations, and also formulate a certain code together within the crystals to bring desired result.
And I have so many questions. I don't know what to ask first. So, so these crystals that are now, you said, under the ground. So could you?
Yes, they are in inner Earth.
Hmm.
Inner Earth civilizations are not all heavenly. They are Telos. They are the people in Telos. They are mainly the descendant of Lemurians. Not all Lemurians decided to go underneath of Earth. Some of them left Earth. Some of them left to different dimensions as well. But some of the Lemurians decided to stay on Earth. And those people are also connected to Pleiadians. And they do know the crystal technologies because the Lemurians are the first civilizations, at least in this timeline. They understand the crystal technologies and they know how to use them. So Atlantean crystals are guarded by them.
Mm. So the crystals that existed during Atlantis, that you said that 25% of them now exist in the inner Earth, different locations on the Earth. Who were they moved like in a physical manner by some beings, and when was that, and why did they do that?
Because when something is given in the wrong hand, it doesn't do any good.
Yes.
4 of the Atlantis were chosen by Atlanteans, which is not different from what's happened to Lemurians. Lemurians decided to welcome other beings from other galaxies as a refugee, and they are not exactly having a high vibrational frequencies, but they thought they could volunteer themselves to help them, those people who are unfortunately lost their planet. And as a result of their love and the unconditional service, their frequency went down. And that's what happened to Lemurian civilizations, how they almost lost their civilizations, but some of them are remained. It's not all of them are dead. So that therefore the telos exists in our Earth. So those 25% of crystals are not buried everywhere in Earth, because there is some part in Earth governed by draconians. And mantis being decided to ascend among humans, which is good. And they are welcoming ascension, and they decided to start serving for others, not just themselves. However, in that kind of circumstances, it's not safe to bury all crystals everywhere underneath of the sea or underneath of the earth. So those 25% of crystals are guarded by the people of Telos.
All of them.
Yes.
And they are all in this area in the United States, or are there other locations too on the planet?
Well, there is a connection between Telos and the Shambhala. So some of the architectures in Shambhalas are created by crystal technologies. So if you would say, is there any Atlantean crystals in Shambhala? Yes, as an architecture. The crystal temples and emerald temples and all these temples are made by those crystals.
So these Atlantean crystals are all, like as you say, protected and by
yes, they
Lemuria.
need to station in the sacred areas.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Shambhalas, people are not means any kind of beings, including humans, unless, or at least they are emitting 5D vibrations, they are not allowed to access.
Yeah, yeah.
So if any beings, 4D beings, doesn't matter their service to others in 4D beings or lower 4D beings, if they want to access, let's say, to Shambhala, they can't. So in a way, it's not Atlantean crystals anymore, but those temples are existing. Shambhala are protected as well.
Yeah, for some people who are listening who don't know what is Shambhala, could you give us a short description?
Shambhala is the energetic place you can access to meet with ascended masters and use some of the crystal temples. There is a purple, violet temples and emerald temples to do gathering and do rituals to get energetic healings or download, or you can meet ascended masters to learn teachings from them. So in a way, it's like an energetic dojo.
Thank you. So are there any Atlantean crystals then in Egypt or in the area under the surface of that place?
No.
So the crystals, there are rumors that there is at least one big crystal under the main pyramid of the Giza plateau. Is there any comment you have on this information?
Yes, all these crystals people do find are the remains of ancient Egyptian cultures are made by a galactic. They are not necessarily the original galactics which got proper channel to create humans. Those people who came to build Egyptian prototypes are not using their proper channels. They are in a way intruders, and they decided to build their own type of human beings using their own genetics. And in order for them to contact with their civilization, they needed their crystal. It's not the same as crystal technologies we're using, but they needed to use their crystals to communicate. And those are buried underneath of those historic galactic built structures.
I'm not sure if I understand. So you say that there is indeed a crystal, a big one under the big pyramid in Giza.
Yes, for the communication purpose to their own galactic civilizations at that time.
So it's not active anymore?
No, because any crystals, they are not the rock, they are living beings.
Yeah.
So in a way, they're dead.
Mm-hmm, okay. And I heard that
deactivated.
Sorry?
Or deactivated.
Yes, I understand that.
So when, let's say, the service to others come here after people on Earth are awakened, and they wanted to use these technologies in good purpose, those beings can awaken those crystals again for the communication purpose only, but it won't happen until then.
Yes, okay. So the crystals, there's online, they sell some, they say Atlantean crystals and all of that. Is this a hoax or what is it?
Lemurian crystals are there. They exist. Erica had one.
Mm-hmm.
So those Lemurian seed crystals are to connect with people who do have a relationship with Lemuria. Each has the record, energetic record, for them to awaken their knowledge of their relation to Lemurian civilizations. But Lemurian crystals are given to the people who are only related to Lemuria, and then each person know the authenticity of that when even they see that online.
So an authentic Lemurian crystal is a crystal that was created during the Lemurian civilization, and
yes, and then they're spread it into the pieces. So when the owner, means Erica was not a Lemurian, she created the Lemurian as one of the well, it's not her, one of her soul particle. So that's not her. She never been to Lemuria, but because everything is happened at the now moment. So one of her soul particles as a galactic did experience that. So she does have a relationship to that. So in order for her to retrieve that time of Lemurian history, it needed her to have the crystals. And when she saw that crystal, she started to crying with no reasons because she felt the connections. So Lemurian crystals are protected to make sure it goes to the proper owners. It never be access to the person who do not belong to the history. So in that case, Lemurian crystals are okay to exist on Earth because there is no way it can be used in the dark purposes.
And what about the so-called Atlantean crystals that are for sale on the internet?
They're not real.
None of them?
Some of them do have the component as Atlantean crystals. Means the same as the dead crystals in Egypt. So if people are looking for an Atlantean crystals to do something about it energetically, it has very faint frequencies. So it won't do any good. Means it doesn't work properly. So it's almost like when you go to the beach and then you want to collect shells for the memoir of you been to the particular beach. So Atlantean crystals are same as that. So if you have connection or you have a strong affinity with Atlantean culture, and then you felt something when you look at Atlantean crystals, maybe you dealt with that as a scientist or whatever in the culture. So you can get hold of that, but it doesn't really have much effect to it.
Okay. Could you talk to us about the Andara crystals? Since we talked
Andara
about...
crystal is from the galactic civilization.
Mm-hmm.
So they are used to activate their galactic memories and galactic heritage. So these crystals are also protected by the galactic families. So when a person who is supposed to get hold of that crystals, they will. But if you are not the one who is permitted holding the crystals, but somehow they get hold of it, it won't do anything. Means it's dead.
Mm. So I have in my hand one of those crystals. Would it be appropriate that you make a quick reading? Would you like to that
Yes,
I show it to you?
that crystal is related to Leland.
Okay.
So you are holding that crystals in order for you to, one, communicate, and two, download.
Mm-hmm.
So you are using that Andara crystal as a boost. It's not everybody is emitting their frequency in the same level. Someday you do have an energetic up and down because you have a physical body, and then a lot of things are happening on earth, especially now. It's not everybody can be super happy and chippy every day. Even you feel like you are, you will get influences from outside of the environment, even though you are not paying attention to it. So in order for you or anyone to compensate those up and down, you need certain devices to stabilize your accessibilities. So crystals are used to stabilize accessibilities, and this is why you're using it.
And they are, how to say, they are native to Earth. They were created in Earth.
No, you have those crystals here, but originally transported from the galaxy.
Ah, wow. So the galactic race is literally physically transported them on Earth.
Yes, because when they have created Lemuria, they brought a lot of crystals here to Earth.
So the
Of course, they did create their own Earth crystals as well, but there is a crystalline light in the inner Earth. So there is a galactic origin of crystals and there is an Earth origin of crystals. In order for any kind of advanced civilization to contact with others, crystal technologies are very important method to do that.
Mm.
it's not just of communications, but there are other usage, which we won't tell you. But you need crystals in order to use crystal technologies. So it is a necessary thing to transport from other galaxies.
So the Andara is not cannot be created on Earth. It's foreign.
Originally, yes.
Okay, so the one I'm holding, which is a real Andara crystal, is as old as the Lemurian civilization.
Yes, so it is the same thing.
Mm.
Crystals recognize the energetic signature of the owners. So if you are not the proper owner, it won't do anything.
I like that.
And it's used in that way for the security.
Mm. Yeah, so it has it's intelligent and it has consciousness and it can read the energetic field of the person who is connecting with them.
Yes, but Atlantean crystals are sort of manipulated from the original form of the usage of the crystals. This is why they are all shut down. Or given to the proper civilizations. They know how to take care of the crystals in the proper usage, not for the dangerous way of using it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which none of the higher civilization will think of how to use it, but there is a duality on Earth. So if they means draconians or reptilians or any of those beings get a hand of those crystals and come up with their own usage, they can, but they have no access to.
Mm. And the ones that the Lemurians have hold of from Atlantis, are they going to give it to humanity at some point?
Yes, because the inner Earth and the outer Earth, you are all the resident of the Earth. So people will share the technology together.
When the time is right.
When the humanity reached a certain frequency level.
Mm-hmm.
So they understand not to use the crystal technology in the wrong way, such as what the Atlantean did.
So the one that, going back to the one that is under the Egyptian main pyramid of help, so you said that this one, who did you say that created this crystal, or can you tell us a little bit more about this one?
It's not the created, it was also the transported from other galaxy. The original ones.
What was the purpose? You said the communication.
Yes, communicate with their galactic civilizations.
Okay, and could you specify the race that was involved in this?
Some of the Syrians were involved. There are so many different Syrian types. The Syrians people are recognized in the higher frequency civilizations are mainly Syrian A. But there are 3 types of Syrians: Syrian A, Syrian B, Syrian C. So the combination of Syrian B group and the C group came to Egypt and decided to put themselves in God position, call themselves as a god, along with Anunnaki. So there was a problem. And because of the variety of the culture in Sirius, they could put their hand into the crystals because they have access to Syrian A culture as well.
Was that after Atlantis or before?
Before Atlantis.
Oh, wow, okay.
they don't have access to that anymore, regardless of which sect they come from. It's not about Syrian A is better than Syrian B or C. They all need to reach certain frequency level in order to participate the service to others. So we're not bashing Syrian B or Syrian C, or even Leptarians or Draconians. If they or some of them reach certain frequency level and then start accessing their Christ consciousness and start having their own ascension, then names or outside, it doesn't matter. We are all serving for others. But in general, some of the Syrians, they decided to come to Earth and created their own prototype of Egyptians. They aren't really on Earth to serve others, or they are not really here to create a new type of humanity, to birth new civilization in the planet for good purpose. But they got hand of those, some of the crystal within them. So, but in order to access the crystals, you need to have certain permission level. The permission level are different from your frequency level. So if you need to have a certain frequency level to access certain type of crystals. So they got their hand into the communication type of crystals, which they can only use for communications, but nothing else.
Which makes me wonder why this crystal from the Syrian civilization is under the pyramid there. So that means that the Syrians were involved in the building of the pyramids?
Yes.
Is there, could you tell us more about this connection and why is it specific?
They built the pyramid for the communication purpose.
Mm.
So all these pyramids you can see in your culture, they are built so they can communicate with their people in their galaxy.
Yeah, but they do some have other purposes as well, right? It's not only communication devices.
You mean the crystals or pyramid?
The pyramids.
Yes, they could be used for other purposes, but originally they decided to build pyramids for communicating with their people.
Mm-hmm.
Because they decided to reside on Earth as a god, so they can't really go back and forth from where they come from. So they needed to have a stable method to contact with their galactic civilizations.
I would like to dive deeper into the Egyptian, how to say it, the Egyptian story with the and their galactic connections. Would you like that we perhaps go into depth in another episode?
Yes.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you so much, Asta.
Yes.
So, in terms of just to close the subject of today, because we were more focused in crystals, Atlanteans, Lemurians, and all of this. Is anything else that you think it's important for us to know that perhaps I didn't ask you?
Yes, the crystals are extremely handy tool for all of you to strengthen your connection with your galactic connection, star families. So will highly recommend you to find your own crystals. It doesn't matter which kind, because when you see it, you know it is calling you. You do feel the connections. So you can gather many kind of crystals as much as you like to, one, to shield your areas. So you can use the same purpose as the pyramid. Pyramid can be built in each point of Earth to create an energetic grid. So one of the purpose is that. So you can put your crystals the four corner of your room or house to create a grid and keep your area sacred, which is one way of using the crystal technologies to keep your vibrational frequency pure and not having any kind of intrusions from outside forces. And also crystal can be used to strengthen your communication with your star families, which is highly recommended. And a lot of times, crystals are used as a device to download what they want to download to you, but sometimes they have to go through the crystals before it downloads to your body, and that can be used. A lot of times, which is not necessary anymore because many of you are ascending and then your body structures are changing. So we don't need to put all of the download into crystals first and they stabilize, then crystal will emit all of light code to you. We don't need 2 steps anymore, but sometimes used in that way.
Mm.
And crystals are, as we said, it's a living being. It's alive. So it is a good idea to talk to them. It is a good idea to communicate with them. It is a good idea to charge it like how you charge your cell phone. When crystals are put into a lower frequency environment for a long time, it will die. So just like you're taking care of the plants or your dog or cat, it is very important to take care of them in a proper manner because it's not a piece of rock. It's a living being.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one crystal I really adore is the Moldavite, and I heard that I read that is a crystal for star seeds, and I remember that and that it has very high frequency, and I remember that when I put it on, I bought a necklace and I felt like a homecoming feeling. And interestingly, some other people cannot stand the crystal. They say that this crystal is very nice is very good for star seeds, but people who don't have so much extraterrestrial DNA, they cannot stand it.
Yes, because motorbikes are also from other galaxies.
Yeah.
So motorbike has a ability to channel the specific star seed origins. Of course, none of you are coming from one star origins, but depends on where you are at the timeline wise and what kind of star family currently you are having, who is guiding you. Moldavite knows exactly how to channel with that energetic formation and then transmit that energy to you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So it's built in this ability. You don't have to program it to do that for you.
No, they know what they're doing.
Amazing.
Yes.
And why some people cannot stand it? They get dizzy, they get headaches.
Because the frequency differences. When you are in the familiar environment, you feel good.
Yeah.
when you are unfamiliar environment, you feel disoriented.
Yeah.
That's what it is, basically. Not all of people on Earth are from galaxies. Many of them are Earth seed, so it's foreign to them. Of course, people will eventually get used to those frequencies, but they have to get used to it.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound familiar to them or feel familiar to them.
But it's definitely, I would highly recommend to starseeds who are watching, if you feel homesick, it's really a soothing crystal.
Yes, it is. This is Ashtar of Aztec Man. We are here to serve all of you. I have a moldbite too.
Yes.
Yeah, I got like smoky quartz and moldbite and others. I lost my starseed, Lemurian starseed crystals. It disappeared.
Oh. So it sounds like it went to someone else who needed it.
No, it's my crystal, but it's disappeared.
Yeah, I heard that crystals, they will often disappear because they have their own consciousness, so they might move to someone else who need them, because maybe you didn't need it anymore and someone else needed it, so maybe someone else found it now.
I think I shifted my timeline, and then it finished the purpose of serving.
Yeah.
Like I gained enough Lemurian code, so I'm like, I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say, but you said in a different words. Yeah.
Yeah. So it disappeared like out of the blue. I'm very organized person. I don't lose anything.
I know. Yeah, that's the crystals do this. This is really fun.
It was this big, so wow. It's kind of impossible to like just lose it. It's not this small. Like
yeah. The crystals, when you don't need them anymore, they will disappear, or they might even sometimes they crack, and it's a sign that you have enough of this energy and you can move on to something else. I know this. I have lost also big crystals, which like no way, like, and it happened to me because the ego, you want the same crystal, and I went to buy the same crystal from shop, and then I lost it again, and it was like, okay, universe says you don't need this crystal, move on to something else.
Do you go to the store to buy them? Like actually go to the store and buy them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to buy from the store.
Yeah, sure.
And because of the COVID and everything. So I think 90% of the time, the right crystal came to me, even through the online, even through Amazon. Like one time it was like horrible. Like I got dead selenite. And I tried to revive with it, with the moonlight. It didn't do anything, so I had to throw it away.
Dead selenite?
Yeah, because when you hold the crystal, you can tell like they're alive or dead.
I see, okay.
But usually like some of them, they have such a low frequency. So you feel like, okay, there's anything you can do about it. And then sometimes you can do, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
But most of the time when you hold it, like the frequency is pretty high. So all you have to do is charge it,
Yes.
Yeah.
To give it a kick. Yeah. Super, very fascinating, and I hope the next time we can talk a little bit. We go into depth about the pyramids in Egypt. I think it's also a fascinating subject.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you so much, Erika.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you and see you next episode. Bye bye.